Hi, my name's Coach Topolski, inventor of the techpaddle, and coined the term EVF, or early vertical forearm. And what I'd like to talk about now, or maybe start a debate among coaches and swimmers, is about speed training, race pace training, and does more swimming make you faster? Two very important training principles in swimming are the specificity of training and the adaptation of stress through progressive work. Specificity of training means if you want to swim fast, you got to practice fast things. The swimmer should train in a relevant or appropriate way that is specific to what they're trying to accomplish. The adaptation of stress through progressive resistance means the swimmer must train in a manner that will effectively encourage physiological or muscular growth, neurological and mental growth, the things that are necessary to get what they want. So if you want to get faster, those are the things you have to do physiologically, neurologically, and mentally to get faster. Now let me put it in a different way. The things that I said. First, if you want to swim faster, you and your coach should be working on improving speed and technique. Second, hard, grueling sets aren't the badges of courage that you need to get faster and in fact usually slow you down. Third, even marathon, long-distance triathletes will improve more when their speed per 25 yards decreases by a mere 1 second. Fourth, when endurance is used as the main stressing agent, the primary outcome is improved endurance and not speed, which is much more elusive. Fifth, when a young, fast swimmer and swimmers start getting slow as they get older, there are a lot of reasons for it, but one of them shouldn't be and can't be related to the training program they're in, and one that makes them slower. Nearly all coaches and swimmers know that great technique and speed are, just like I said, elusive. So why is it that swimmers are trained like marathon competitors? If a swimmer can't break 15 seconds from a push-off for a 25-yard freestyle, what are their chances for breaking 5 minutes in a 500 freestyle? The future potential of a swimmer depends upon the development of habitually effective stroke technique that isn't encouraged by long, monotonous training sets. And that's what swimming is about now, long, monotonous training sets. Instead, a vast majority of every swim practice should incorporate stroke drills and timed sprint 25s, 25 kicks, pulls, submerged dolphin kicks, breakouts, and timed turns. When a coach successfully applies the principles of specificity training and stress adaptation to 25-yard recorded swims, it will allow swimmers to get lifetime bests throughout the season. What I'm talking about is real speed or real race pace training, which almost eliminates the need for, well, I said almost eliminates the need for long repeat sets. When a swimmer isn't getting faster, is adding yardage or intensity a way to cure the problem? I think if you want swimmers to get faster, you first improve their technique, breakouts, turns, kicks, pulls, submerged dolphin kicks, and swims. But you do that by recorded 25s to track daily improvement and not long 2200s, the 100 sets, the 50 sets, the monotonous sets. I'm going to beat this dead horse, okay? Indiscriminate yardage as a part of a swimming in high school and age group training regime usually encourages debilitating stroke flaws. They get worse and can stifle the future success of swimmers. Beyond technical yardage, which must not be confused with recreational lap swimming that usually occurs in practices nowadays, training practice should revolve around improvement of a swimmer's 25-yard time, their 25-yard time, and the speed training should comprise a majority of every practice. That's not including the drills. There will always be a necessity to use longer sets to track and record improvements in pace, pain tolerance or lactic acid tolerance, and endurance. These long recorded sets are used to analyze things other than speed, and they're very important and totally different than what I call recreational or monotonous, indiscriminate sets that are commonly used in today's practices. The fact that they're recorded means that they're going to be repeated and used in the future when the coach needs to analyze improvement or lack of improvement for that matter. These sets must be designed to objectively track each swimmer's improvements toward their goals of speed, pace, pain tolerance, or lactic acid tolerance and endurance. So if a swimmer is practicing and doesn't know the goal or objective of the set, in most instances, those sets add indiscriminate yardage to the practice, or in other words, they're just a waste of time. When swimmers say after a gut-wrenching set, "This was one of the best workouts I ever had," because they're extremely tired, they're talking about a feeling exhausted, which is a really ineffective and subjective way of evaluating training effectiveness. It's easy. It's extremely easy for a good coach to make a set difficult or to make their swimmers nearly throw up. But making swimmers puke shouldn't ever be considered the gold standard for an effective practice. An effective set is one in which swimmers create information that they can use to compare and contrast previous training bouts, then formulate a strategy for future improvement. It may sound complicated, but when swimmers know their practice times and set them as goals when they train each day, they become more responsible for swimming success. That's what we want. We want swimmers to become more responsible for their success. If swimmers are given strategies by a coach and the data shows that training is effective or ineffective, the coach and the swimmer can formulate plans to get where they want to go. If a swimmer isn't getting faster and is doing all the things that the coach says, everything that's prescribed by the coach, it's then up to the coach to come up with a better plan, right? If the swimmer isn't following the plan, making all the practices, training effectively, they're not doing the supply of, they're not supplying you with the body necessary to reach their goals, so they're not doing what you want. It's up to them to evaluate their goals or step up to the plate and do the work. Recording nearly everything a swimmer does in practice now becomes an important requirement that creates an understandable responsibility owned by the swimmer and by the coach. The potential of every swimmer depends upon the development of habitually effective stroke technique critical to speed. I said that, but that's important. Swimmers who show great technical ability, and they're always, mostly always, your fastest and mostly always your stars, can often digress when indiscriminate yardage is added, or worse yet, moving a swimmer into practices with higher yardage and intensity when they're technically unready to enter can dismantle future success. Therefore, it becomes very important for programs to graduate swimmers to higher practice levels or more, practices that spend more time in the pool, based first on technical proficiency and not simply age or times. Training groups should be a mixture of technical ability and times. There are many examples of graduated training groups, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel when you can copy successful programs from all over the world. Use programs from other people that are successful to make your program better and more successful. Coaches shouldn't be debating about the ability of a young swimmer to simply handle increased yardage as the primary reason to graduate a swimmer to a new training group. Coaches' conversation and debates about moving swimmers up should revolve around the question, is the swimmer's technique and speed good enough to move them up to a higher training group? Every coach should start questioning the strategies and they're stressing strategies such as Hell Week, morning practices, or adding weekly yardage just because yardage got to increase every week. It could not only stifle but potentially be physically harmful to swimmers. It could harm swimmers physically by robbing them of an appropriate amount of rest or sleep, which we all know is critical for a swimmer's peak performance and good health. So, what should a season look like? And we can debate this, of course, and I think that's what you need to do. But I think each season begins with establishing baseline 25-yard times. And I discussed that before. From a push-off for every stroke for every swimmer. These baseline times should follow each swimmer throughout their career. A high school season may begin with an hour in the water 5 days a week and a 45-minute resistance training session 3 days a week. When swimmers are reaching their goal time, 25 goal times I'm talking about, more technical yardage and sprint yardage can add, and you can add a half hour of those things, technical yardage and sprint yardage. And as plateaus begin to emerge, and they're going to hit plateaus from when a majority of the team starts hitting plateaus, maybe add another half hour. But remember, you're adding faster swims, maybe giving them more rest. If swimmers are getting faster with just an hour of practice, there's no need to increase practice time. If their endurance is suffering, you're at the end of the race and they're losing, rest more and swim race pace distances within the hour that you're allotted. So you see, there's adding time and yardage isn't the only way to improve a swimmer's endurance. I know it seems counterintuitive, but you can give them more rest and require them to swim faster race pace times. I'm going to use my middle school example. My 7th and 8th graders, we start the day with time turns. We usually start out with 5 minutes of stroke drills with our tech paddles always. They don't get a choice anyway, we'll talk about that later. And then swim about 10 minutes of stroke drills. They work on stroke counts and different things. And we use different rules of thumb, like 15 to 17 strokes per 25 for freestyle and backstroke in 15 seconds, and 8 to 12 for breaststroke and butterfly in 15 seconds. They're not going to reach 15, but that's a goal, a general goal. Our goal is watch and count their stroke counts during the 10-minute swims and stop swimmers to see if their count is the same as ours. They need to know those things. We correct stroke flaws all the time. We don't let them swim with stroke flaws. I think it's interesting when coaches are watching a practice and they see a stroke flaw and they don't stop the kid. Stop your swimmer. We spend about a half hour in competition time sprints doing either swimming 25s, pulling 25s, underwater kicking 25s. And during the sprints, coaches will give them their stopwatch times, give them advice, count strokes, etc. We'll continue this and then go back to time breakouts and starts. Then our other time sets are done with inequitable heat. So kids are always swimming against kids they can almost beat, giving them competition every single day, where swimmers are always constantly competing to improve their times and beat the person next to them. Endurance time sets are added as the season progresses. So we do them, but they're timed. And when we do them again, we do them because we think they're going to improve. Swimmers reaching plateaus would have stress reduced if overtraining is suspected, or stress increased if undertraining is suspected. When swimmers 25 times are being reached and their goals are being reached, but their final time doesn't reflect the projected time, this is a time where maybe more intensity is required, longer rest to reach race pace time. So sometimes I just give them more rest. We still have an hour practice. I give them more rest and require them to swim faster. I think everyone gets my point, and I hope it brings up more discussions on the topic. Here's a couple questions for coaches that I hope will elicit even more opinions and introspection. Number one, if a swimmer can't swim 25 yards freestyle from a push-off in 15.5 seconds, will they ever swim a 50 in less than 28 seconds or break 5 minutes in the 500 freestyle? Question two, would you rather have 20 fast swimmers on your team or 20 swimmers with great endurance who can hold a pace but are real slow? You probably want fast swimmers that have great endurance. Start with speed, speed, speed. 3, does indiscriminate yardage help create plateaus in mediocrity or drop times in speed? Number 4, does your program pride itself in doling out yardage and giving swimmers tough sets or quality sets that are tough? There's a difference. Number 5, can indiscriminate yardage promote shoulder injuries or do they strengthen shoulders? I'm not sure everyone will agree, but I'm guessing that most coaches would want speedy phenoms versus slower swimmers who have great pacing abilities. I believe that speed is so elusive that it should be our primary focus in swimming. But of course, for most programs, that's not true. People pride themselves in yardage. In most programs, swimming laps and sets with intervals that promote cardiovascular improvement is not the exception but the rule. I want to advocate for a change in our training policies as swimming coaches. When a swimmer's time is dropping, everything's working, so why add yardage or more stress? It's not counterintuitive. Yardage does not create fast swimmers. Rather, fast swimmers get that way simply by surviving yardage-related programs. I'd like to start another discussion later on the best drills to create fast swimmers. I think if you have drills or equipment that gets objective results, keep them and quit using drills or equipment that doesn't work and get results. Until then, I'd like to maybe talk more about this, pros and cons. People that give a lot of yardage, people that don't. My program's working fine for our best swimmers to our worst swimmers. Everybody's getting faster. So, and throughout the season, we don't have to wait for the end of the year to taper. We're giving stress at appropriate times, and they adapt to the stress and get faster. Putting all your coins in a basket at the end of the year and thinking, gosh, what happens when the kid doesn't get faster? They could get their best time at the beginning of the year and still get faster. Good luck to you. I hope we stay in touch. Coach Topolski with techpaddle. And if you want, talk to me about some drills. I got some great drills that we use all the time because they work. Thank you very much. See you. Good luck, coaches and swimmers.